a book about him.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
They say, listen to Dr. Fauci. That's what I listen to. You know, I know you can have him saying about one mask, two masks, more than two masks. He's against Christmas gatherings. He's for Christmas gatherings. He believes in herd immunity. He doesn't believe in herd immunity. Just whatever you want to hear, sooner or later you'll hear it from him. But it's a perfect time for this book that's come out, Faucian Bargain, the most powerful and dangerous bureaucrat in American history, by Steve Deace and Todd Erzin. And I thought about it, and, I was thinking Robert Moses in New York, or, George Marshall after World War II, but he was in Europe. Douglas MacArthur, he was in Japan. I think they're right that he is the most powerful and dangerous bureaucrat in American history. Steve Deace, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for being with us.
It's an honor, Howie. Obviously, you're an institution in our business, so thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
Tell us about the fact that, we just played the cut from 60 Minutes where he says, don't wear a mask. But according to your book, he was telling people this privately in the White House, wasn't he? And he was just kind of laughing off this mask fetish that began just about a year ago, right?
Yes. We have got an entire chapter devoted to the masquerade in our book, Faucian Bargain. Because, it's a funny thing. Even if you go to University of Minnesota, where Dr. Michael Osterholm is stationed, he's also one of Biden's advisors. His publication published a piece back in his latest April saying that masks don't work, pardon me, and pointing out why they don't. And this quote unquote science.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second, Howie.
Okay. 844-500-4242. He's coughing a little bit. Let's play the cut from Peter Navarro today, the president's economic advisor. He has a good description, a brief 11 seconds that kind of sums it up here. Cut 22.
Fauci is a sociopath and a liar. He had nothing to do with the vaccine. The father of the vaccine is Donald J. Trump. What is Fauci the father of? Fauci's the father of the actual virus.
Steve, are you okay?
We're checking on him right now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I'll just talk a little bit about what's in the book.
He's all set.
Oh, you're all set. Steve, you okay?
Yeah, I think I just got choked up talking to such a living legend there. I've also done so many interviews, my voice just gave out. I'm so sorry about that. We did a whole chapter in our book on the masquerade. And what's funny is if you look at Dr. Michael Osterholm, who's also a close advisor to President Biden, his university at Minnesota up there published as recently as late April why masks don't work. And we knew masks didn't work. All the real-time data on planet Earth shows masks don't work. Norway found that it would have to forcibly mask 200,000 people to stop one infection. Sweden hasn't mandated masks, has the lowest mask mandate or mask usage in all of the Western world. It had 7% higher excess deaths last year. Every other country in the European Union that does masks had between 12 and 18% higher excess deaths. And so this whole political movement around masks basically just changed between mid-May and mid-June. In fact, if you go look at old studies, Howie, about masks, about what they said in 2012, 14, 18, 20, they will then often have disclaimers saying, sorry, we told you before masks don't work. We were wrong. Please forgive us, basically. This is all politicized. And we're not saying in our book that Fauci has just altered his analysis on the basis of what was politically prevalent, popular at the time. We're just saying it sure as hell looks like that.
Yeah, it's people have written that masks are a form of submission. It's like
yes.
wearing an armband in Germany back in the 1930s. It's not Nazism, but it is showing your political affiliation when you wear a mask, and it's just. In
fact,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, last summer, Dr. Michael Osterholm was speaking to the Chamber of Commerce in Minnesota. He used that exact description. He explained to them why masks don't work. You can't use masks to stop the spread of an aerosol. That's why masks don't work during the California wildfires. It's why OSHA doesn't tell you, hey, if you're working with lead paint fumes or you're working with anything along those lines with asbestos, don't wear masks. It doesn't work to stop aerosols. He was explaining this to the Chamber of Commerce in Minnesota and then turned right around and said to them, hey, the other thing I'm concerned about is you're essentially creating a scarlet letter kind of a system, that I'm a better person than you because I wear a mask. I'm a better caliber of human being. That's a terrible health policy to do. So this is all politically contrived. And hey, I'm pro-life. I don't believe that we don't have a right to be inconvenienced when human life was at stake. All right. If the masks actually worked, we'd be having a different conversation about how far do they go before they intrude on our personal freedoms. But they don't work. That's why they've been lying all along. It's why they didn't tell you at the beginning. Imagine how if they would have said at the beginning, listen, we're throwing everything we can at this thing. It's a Swiss cheese strategy, layers and layers of just help us, work with us, like in World War II when you turned in your plastic and aluminum, wear a mask, social distance, help us out. No, they spoke with certainty. The freaking last CDC director, Robert Redfield, went to Congress last August and said that this useless Chinese face diaper would help him against the virus even more than the vaccines.
But see,
that doesn't speak very well of the vaccines.
But now, the thing about Fauci is he's this kind of bureaucratic infighter. And he's going up, and you have it. The president in one of his emails this week talked about how Fauci was always downing Birx, who I never cared much for. And you talk about Redfield, and Redfield came out this week or last week on CNN and said, well, it did come out of Wuhan, China. There's no question about that. Right. And Fauci turns on him like a scorpion in a bottle. And now it looks like they're stabbing this new director, Walensky, in the back. On opening the schools, on impending doom, on do vaccinations work? I mean, this guy is like the ultimate turf protector, isn't he? And he's 80 years old. Yes. Why is he still there?
80 years old. I think that's something a lot of our audiences probably don't realize, is that he's 80 years old. He's been there forever. But here's the thing I think we need to understand about the system in general. If he had not been there, if he would have retired at 75, 70, 65, something else would have taken his place and largely behaved the same way. The personality might have been different. It might have been Debbie Bedazzle Your Face Shield to Death Birx. It might have been that instead. But there would have just been another swamp monster emerge from another creature from the Black Lagoon. It would have just been somebody else, another turf monster, somebody else with 300 emails to the Chi-Coms, somebody else who's flip-flopping and becoming a national celeb. We've seen this before. This is the way the system works, whether its name is Michael Avenatti or Anthony Fauci. This is the way the system works. He's the construct that they needed at the time to further their narrative. And that's where his popularity comes from, and that's where his power comes from.
You guys say that we're talking to Steve Deace, the author of the book Faucian Bargain, the most powerful and dangerous bureaucrat in American history. You say that if Trump had fired him, he'd be the president today. He would have gotten beyond this. But who would he have replaced him with? Like you say, well, Trump was between a rock and a hard place, wasn't he? With this fraudulent octogenarian quack.
Yes, but you've observed politics long enough to know that he who rides fence for too long eventually gets his nether regions caught in it. The administration waited too long to pivot away from him, and you can see what happened once they did. Once they brought Dr. Scott Atlas in from Stanford University, the narrative began to change. They got more aggressive on reopening schools, things of that nature. They were never going to out Karen the Democrats, never going to out shut down them. Never, and this also set the stage for the mail-in voting and whatever in the world happened in this election we may never find out. All of that happened because of abrogating the presidency to Fauci. It wasn't just listening to him. It was the fact that Fauci was essentially, in the minds of the American people, the leader of the country for about 3 or 4 months. They waited too long to pivot away from that. They waited too long to pivot to a more optimistic message. And then once they did, you could see the entire narrative began to change. And you're seeing that now. It's with a clear line of shutdown, lockdown, impending doom messaging. you're seeing a lot of rebellion in a lot of the states around the country to Fauciism as we speak.
Yeah, the governor of Massachusetts just told everybody 2 days ago to only have intimate gatherings for Easter. And he knew it was very disheartening to people, but you should only get together with intimate associates. And today he's flown off to Florida with his wife. Another breathtaking hypocrite here. But
yes,
how does Fauci go on every one of these Sunday morning shows and tell everybody a different story, whatever they want to hear? He tells it. He goes on with, he told people last summer, gays, I guess, that they could go on Grindr and pick up blind dates. And that was okay.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
I mean, how can anybody have any credibility after telling everybody they can't go to funerals, basically, but you could go out and engage in unsafe sex?
Number one, cult leaders don't typically need much credibility. Number one, but then
that's a good point.
Number two, he is serving a purpose, and when he's done serving that purpose, he will be served. The first rule of assassination is you kill the assassins, and his welcome is wearing out in real time as we speak. You've seen in recent weeks him receive pushback interviews from, of all places, CNN and a couple of other outlets. People sort of incredulous with notions that after I get vaccinated, I still have to be a leper. I still have to be masked. And what's going to happen as this year continues, I believe, is you're going to see these blue state governors, now that more and more of these red states are aggressively saying, screw this noise, we're out, tapping out. And people want their lives back. All Branch Covidian cultists voted for Biden, but not all Biden voters are Branch Covidian cultists. There's a lot of Karens. There's a lot of Karens in Biden's voting bloc that are sick of their kids and want them back in schools. They want their lives back. There's a lot of reporters that want to go back and watch Hamilton again, that want to go to their favorite Italian restaurant again. And so what you're going to see is they need a fall guy. The Gavin Newsoms of the world, a lot of the Gretchen Whitmers of the world, they're going to need a fall guy. He's going to be the fall guy. He's going to be the person. All his discredited claims, this guy's worn out his welcome. He will be thrown under the bus, I believe, by the time we get to the end of this year.
I hope so. He's just so unspeakable. Didn't he have a problem with one last question here? We got to run, but didn't he have a problem with AIDS that he supposedly botched that whole response going way back to Reagan administration days?
Yes. If we reference it briefly in the book, but it would require its whole other tome. But if you look at, those of us that are old enough to remember the 80s, the fear porn, you get AIDS off the toilet seat. You couldn't let Ryan White back into school. Everybody had to quarantine. A lot of that, the proto language and version for that came out of his time, handling the AIDS crisis as well. So yeah, there is some similarities. That was then that became a highly politicized virus. So is this. And what your audiences around the country are learning is our CDC isn't doing science. It's doing political science.
I'm going to guess, Steve, you're not going to get an appearance on 60 Minutes on Sunday night. Is that correct?
I'm not holding my breath for that one because I prefer to live, Howie. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure Dr. Fauci will be back on 60 Minutes, though. Probably it's in his contract. He gets to go on every 2 or 3 weeks, right? All right, Steve Deace, I'm looking forward to really reading your book more completely. It's called Faucian Bargain, the most powerful and dangerous bureaucrat in American history. And I think it's #1 right now, at least in some categories on Amazon. So it's doing very well indeed, as well it should, because we've all had it up to here. Okay, thank you very much, Steve Deace. I did it again this past Sunday, 3 bike rides in one day. All my energy is thanks to Balance 7. Balance 7 is a clear mineral liquid you take 3 times a day to break down the acid in your body. You feel better, and I personally sleep better. It also reduces acid reflux and heartburn. Often I'm asked to try products and can be very skeptical of claims. But with Balance 7, it was all 100% true. With Balance 7, I don't feel my energy starting to flag as the day wears on. By allowing me to sleep better at night, I have more mental clarity during the day. Balance 7 is a highly alkalizing concentrate. What that means is it reduces the acids that have built up in your body over time. All you have to do is drink a small shot of the liquid 3 times a day, and you will feel the difference. Balance 7 is made of safe, all-natural ingredients. If you suffer from heartburn, acid reflux, or sleep issues, give Balance 7 a try. Balance 7 is made in America and has sold more than 6 million units worldwide. Order your 1-month supply at balance7.com. Use code word Howie free to save $10 and and you'll get free shipping. Also, be one of the first 50 to purchase Balance 7 and receive Smooth Skin, an exfoliant and deep cleansing skin conditioner valued at $13.99. You get it for free. Order now and receive $10 off a 30-day supply, free shipping, and you'll get a chance to receive Smooth Skin conditioner at no charge. All by using my code word Howie free. One word, Howie free. I'm Howie Carr.
Got hate mail?
You got anything on your chest besides your chin, you better get it off.
Send it off to Grace at HowieCarrshow.com.